Thanks so much, Evan, and thank you for all the support that you give artists in this community. Really, you have transformed the arts, and you've given artists opportunities, and I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure many other people do as well. So, right, thank you all for coming today, and here we go. And I am really excited about sharing my story with you, as well as a lot of information about creativity. So let's get started, and I'm going to start with what we're going to do today, and that is we're going to talk about what creativity actually is. We're going to share, I'm going to share my creative journey with you. I'm going to share we're going to debunk the myths of creativity. I will share some interesting statistics and research about creativity, talk to you about igniting your creativity, and then we'll wrap it up with questions and comments. So I'm going to start with a question. Have you ever seen a great work of art, or listened to interesting music, or seen and admired an invention that you thought was incredible and thought, I wish I could be as creative as that? Yes. Right? Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, the little factoid, which I'll share a little bit later, but 75% of people think that they have not reached their creative potential. So let's get started with what creativity actually is. So the dictionary says that creativity is the ability to transcend traditional ideas and forms and methods and that kind of thing, and then come up with new meaningful ideas and forms and methods. And there is a professor of creativity at the University of Georgia, believe it or not, and she says that across all age groups, the best predictor of creativity is the openness to be open to new experiences. Henri Matisse said creativity takes courage. Steve Jobs said creativity is just connecting things. And Albert Einstein said creativity is seeing things that other people see, but thinking what no one else ever thought. So I'm going to share my creative journey with you first. And it started out with an education, which Evan told my whole story, so I can skip a few slides here. But I went to Boston University School for the Arts and received my BFA in sculpture. You can see me in the studio here. And you can see that what I was creating was very representational. And BU at the time was very focused on representational art and realism. And so I got this great foundation in terms of learning how to draw and how to make things look real and what shadow and light was all about and all of that. So it started that way, but you can kind of see that I actually went into abstract work right away. Even though this is representational, it has, to me, an abstract quality to it, this drawing. And then I followed with my Master of Fine Arts degree at Cranbrook Academy of Art. And again, very abstract work, as you can see here. And this is a funny story. This is pages from my sketchbook from Cranbrook. So this is umpty-ump years, thousands of years ago. I still have these sketchbooks. And I was on a blind date during this period of time, and the date took me to the opera. And I had never been to the opera before. And so it was a real aha moment for me because I was blown away by the grandeur of the opera, this combination of so many art forms all together in this incredible production. The lights, the stage, the scenery, everything. So I started to really react to the stage space itself. And you can see this little, go back. This little stage drawing here that has really accompanied me my whole life in terms of my visual work. And here are some of the other pieces that I created at Cranbrook. You can see the sketch and then the finished piece. some stage-based spaces, as you can see here, all architectural types of spaces. So then what happened? Well, two things were going on with me. First was I heard my mother's voice in my head saying, what are you going to do to make a living now that you have these degrees? And the other one was actually, I felt kind of lonely in the studio. I felt kind of isolated from the outside world. And I wanted to get out there, learn more about what the world was all about outside of the wonderful art world that I had been in for a long time. And so I decided to jump into the business world. I got the first job I could get with no experience in business, and then slowly got more responsibility and bigger jobs. And the longest gig I had was 16 years with Sonesta International Hotels Company, which is an international, had hotels all over the place. And this whole career was such an incredible opportunity for me. I grew up, I learned how to be with people, I learned how to work on a team, I traveled to so many places because of this job, and it was pre-9/11, so it was easier to travel during those times, and it was a real blessing for me. And yet, creativity came along for the ride. All during my career, I was using my visual art skills for brochures and pamphlets and fact sheets and reports and presentations, even designing websites. So I was definitely using it. And then combined with that was the gift of learning how to communicate, learning how to be with people, how to work with people, how to express myself in writing and verbally. These are some sketches that I made during meetings at my job. And I put this in here, not because I was falling asleep. I wasn't falling asleep, but it really helped me focus. And I just kind of, my hand was going, and I was, kind of into the meeting, but my hand just it went. And this is what happened. I can't believe I still have these notes. And also, I was creating collage and photo collage, and I was also doing a lot of drawing, and I was taking a lot of photographs. So all along the road was this wonderful juxtaposition of the art in every single part of my life. So when I could afford it, I went back to art full time, and my first collection is called Sculptural Landscapes, and I had visited about 10 nature centers in and around South Florida and took hundreds and hundreds of photographs at these nature centers. When I came back to the studio, I printed those photos onto drawing paper instead of photo paper, and then I cut them up and juxtaposed them down onto the base, but some of them were a little higher than others, so you see the sculptural quality in the shadows here. And then I drew into them with color pencil, with graphite, and with charcoal to enhance the depth and the texture of the piece and the shadows. Here are just a couple other ones. This is called Mango Triptych, and this is called Fern Forest. Fern Forest is in Coconut Creek. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful place. And this is actually called Landscape Imagined because this is not all one scene. This was collaged with lots of different photographs from lots of different places from these nature centers, and I made a new landscape out of it. So then my work did go into more abstract work, and Evan did a wonderful job of explaining my work, so I don't have to explain too much except to ask you a question, which was, have you ever been in a space for the first time and not known where to go? What's down that hallway? What's behind this door? What's around that corner? So that sense of wonder, of mystery, of unknown, of questions is what my work is all about. And so I'm going to show you some of the work. Evan, again, said so many good things about my work, and it's exactly what I was going to tell you. So I'm not going to repeat it for respect for your time. But this piece is called Somewhere Between, and my work lands somewhere between the real and the imagined. So Each piece does take you on a journey through these unknown spaces. For me, the questions, the unknown, the compromises, that for me is what life is. It's that gray area between the black and the white. I live in that area. Yes, there are black and white moments in my life, of course, but really it's the questioning, it's the searching that is who I am and where I live. This is the making of Somewhere Between, so you can see the original sketch. This was a mock-up. It's hard to see some of this in this light. Piece in progress, and the final piece. I love this doorway here. It just brings me into that unknown area. This one's called Another Dimension, and this piece was actually inspired by my walks in the morning through my neighborhood and looking up and seeing the rooftops of these homes. And I was so taken away by the juxtaposition of these angles, the spaces of the rooftops, how the houses related to each other and the spaces that they made. And so I created this piece called Another Dimension. And this is the final piece. This was the sketch and the mock-up. You can see right here, there's a photograph. And it's the first time I've ever used a photograph in a piece. And I loved the idea of pushing my eye further into the center of this space. And so this photograph really worked in that way. This is called my Nature Texture series. That's a play on words, nature and architecture. And it was really brought on by my concern about the health of our planet. I felt that, are we going to be able to live in harmony between the man-made world and the natural world? And that's what I was focused on here. And you can probably see the progression here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I started with a few little pictures of nature and a lot of architecture. And then, as you can see, the pieces just progressed and the plants were really speaking to me. And I needed to add more and more. And that's how the series progressed. It was a surprise to me. This is number 2. And just so you can see, this is what I thought it was going to look like. And yet it wasn't right. There was something missing. And I found myself adding more and more plants. And the plants were just speaking to me. This is one of the last ones. As you can see, the plants definitely play the major role in these 3 last pieces. It was inspired by this photo, this architectural space, and you can see it sort of replicated here. But the plants really tell the story. This is a series called A World I No Longer Know. And honestly, I feel like I live in a world I no longer know. I was so taken by what was going on in the world in terms of war and death and destruction, hatred, divisiveness, and just a sense of people being stereotyped for who they were and having their rights restricted. And so these pieces express that for me. This one, oops, sorry about that. This one focuses on the migrant. This one, these 2 are about human rights. And as you can see, I used silhouettes in all 3 pieces because I wanted to say that people were not being seen for who they were. They were being grouped into just a stereotype. They were being grouped and judged by others who knew nothing about them. And so I used that, and I also used a lot of wire mesh. You can see here, on all 3 of them, which to me was that restraining symbol. Now, during the pandemic, I was going to a lot of virtual meetings. You all probably did too. And so during this time, I realized that something really interesting was going on at these meetings for me. I saw the person at the front of the screen, but behind them was this incredible space with colors and shapes and doorways and passages, and it was lights, windows, and I just was so enthralled with it. So I started taking screenshots of people. at these meetings, and this is one of them. I just loved the way this woman was sitting and the curtain behind her, the pictures on the wall. There was something about it that really thrilled me. And then I created this. And so this is basically a series of 12 pieces that are expressing that sense of space. And again, I used, a silhouette to protect the person's privacy, and also because, to me, it expressed what was going on in the digital age of communication. You know, there's kind of isolation, but yet we're, relating to each other in new ways. Here are a couple other ones just to give you a sense of the series. This series is called This is the Book We Never Wrote. And this series is based on a number of essays that I wrote a very long time ago. And while I was writing these essays, my son said to me, "Mom, you write the essays and I will illustrate them. And then we'll publish a book together." And I thought, what an incredible idea. He is an amazing artist and really off the charts in terms of his ability to be spontaneous and take risks, and just amazing. And so we, went along thinking we were going to do this, and unfortunately, my son passed away in 2020. And so I was, we had this unfulfilled collaboration. I bring this up to you because it was definitely a moment in my life that changed everything, of course. And it was, it took me months to come awake again. But I realized during this time of mourning and grieving that I had a choice. And I had a choice in terms of letting this tragedy define me and having my life fall apart, or moving forward and learning through this challenge to grow and to change and to welcome it in whatever way I could. And so it changed me a lot. And it changed me into, I think, someone who's more aware of self and others, also more accepting of self and others, more forgiving, more compassionate. And I feel blessed. It was his memory that blessed me, and it really changed me. And it was like a miracle in a lot of ways, and it continues to be that. And they say that miracles happen at the intersection of grace and willingness. And I think that's what happened. And it was just an important moment. And I wanted to share that because I think it's important in terms of how one looks at challenges and traumas in our lives. We all have them. And so for me, this was the lesson. So I did create 7 of these visual essays. I use excerpts from the essays. You can't see it too well, but you can see some of the writing here. In each essay, that was the background. And then I tried to visualize the theme of the essay in each of these pieces. So this one here is called She Took the Bitterness and Gave Me the Honey. It's about my mother and about the mother and child relationship and the sacrifices that parents make for their children. This is about sisterhood. It was actually a group of women that I met a long time ago, and how much I love them and still connected to them in a very big way. And this one is about being on time, my relationship with time, whether I'm on time, do I have enough time, that sort of thing. So that is that series. And the most current series was actually inspired by that blind date. Remember the blind date with the opera? So when I was looking at that sketchbook recently and saw these notes and everything, I realized that that stage space was like right here. It's part of me. It's what I see. And so I decided to pay homage to the stage in this series of 4 pieces. And each one is about 18 by 24. And you can see it a little closer up this way. The 2 center stage pieces. So, what inspires me? I would say that nature inspires me first and foremost, for sure. Also, other artists inspire me tremendously. I see work of other artists every single day. I have a curated inbox with emails from some of the big galleries, some of the museums, some of the art publications, and I try to glance at them pretty much every day. And when I see something that triggers me, I make a screenshot of it, I take a picture of it, and I put it in what's called my ideas folder, which is in my computer, and is a great resource for me because it fills up with all of these ideas and memories of what was that impacted me about that work. And then when I'm stuck or I want to come up with a new idea or I need some architectural spaces that I'm sort of looking for, I go to the ideas folder. So it really works well for me. And also architectural spaces, always been a part. I don't know why. People ask me if I'm an architect or was an architect, and I have to say no. But for me, architecture is living sculpture. It really is. It's inhabited sculpture. And it's not just a structure. It is a sense of place. And that is what really appeals to me and what inspires me. So enough about me. Let's talk about creativity. And I'm going to debunk the myths of the four myths about creativity, okay? The first one is creativity is born and not made. This is not true. Creativity is not an innate talent that only certain people possess. The second one says only artists, musicians, and dancers are creative. Creativity is not only found in the traditional areas of art, but can be found and has value in all areas of life. What just happened? I think I pressed there we go. And creativity is a solitary endeavor. This is not true. You can be creative with a group of people. You're on a board, a committee, you're with a bunch of friends, and you want to come up with an idea about what you want to do that day. All of that inspires creativity. I need a degree to be creative. Not true. Special training, special degrees are not necessary to be creative. And I'm going to prove that to you right now. These are examples of untrained creatives. First, historically, Thomas Edison and the Wright brothers, they had no training in the fields of their inventions, none at all. And yet, I think you'll agree with me that they revolutionized the world. David Bowie, in terms of contemporary examples, David Bowie had no training in performance, music, art, none of it. And yet, he became an icon in terms of the performing arts. Oh my goodness, I keep doing that, sorry. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. He had no experience in either business or in technology. And yet, I think you'll all also agree with me that he revolutionized the tech industry. Quentin Tarantino, award-winning filmmaker, did not go to film school. He did, however, work in a video store, and he saw a lot of movies, and that's what brought him into filmmaking. Maya Angelou, a celebrated author and poet, her work was so powerful and evocative, and she had no training in writing, and yet made such a mark on contemporary literature. And Banksy, the anonymous street artist, he has no training at all in art, and yet his work has gained international renown. So I hope that proves the point. So let's look at some stats that will talk about creativity by the numbers. The first one was what I told you about. 75% of people don't think they've reached their creative potential. And then 75% of people feel that creativity is either undervalued or underappreciated. 72% of people think that they've gotten a lot of their creative ideas in the shower. Isn't that's a lot of people, right? And 60% of CEOs believe that creativity is the most important leadership quality. I think that's really powerful. And taking a walk can boost your creativity by 60%. That is huge. Just go out and walk. right? And other drivers for creativity is spending time with others, sharing with others, family and being with family and friends, and if you're looking to relax or reduce stress. So did you know that the ability to generate creative ideas does not necessarily decline with age, which is very good news for me. And it is because older people have so much more life experience, so they can use that as their bank of ideas and alternative solutions and that sort of thing. Also, there's no inherent difference between genders when it comes to creativity at all, and that engaging in creative expression can help to reduce stress and help you relax and help your mood. So all really powerful things about the value of creativity. So igniting your creativity, here are some things that are suggested. Be open to new experiences, like the professor said. Wherever you are, create an environment that enhances and spurs on and ignites creative ideas and creative thought. And welcome mishaps. Make those happy accidents gifts, and look at those traumas and challenges as opportunities to learn and to grow. Practice mindfulness and reflection, whether it's yoga, meditation, even just looking out the window, prayer, whatever form may work, it helps to open your mind to new ideas. Brainstorm. Allow yourself that free flow of ideas. And nurture your creativity. Whether it's in or out of the studio, engage in things that you really like to do, because that will definitely spur on and ignite your creativity. And as luck would have it, last week, the New York Times had a creativity challenge from Monday through Friday. And so every day they gave you a creative exercise. I'm just going to very quickly go over those, which is day 1, make 10 circles, hand draw circles, and then make each one into something else. Oh, wow. Number 2 was write a poem, but only with designated words. And so they gave you 40 words that you had to use, and that is about rules. Apparently, when one has rules, they are more creative in a lot of ways, because they have to really, be within this limit, and that gives them, generates a lot more creative thought. This is intentional daydreaming. They say to definitely, while you're folding laundry or you're washing the dishes or looking out the window, intentionally let your mind go. Test the 10% theory. So this is about going the extra mile. Let's say you're doing something creative and you think, I got it, it's there, right? And yet they're saying, go another 10%, just like you would if you were doing push-ups or something like that, and you want to really strengthen your muscles, you want to do a few more. So go another 10% and see where it gets you. And day 5, try something new. So it was like, make a birthday cake from scratch, or pickle onions, or, write a children's book or something like that. All these different ideas that go birding is one of them that they said. So I just love that. So now we're going to be creative for 30 seconds. Paintbrush, right? So I want you to shout out other ways and other uses for this paintbrush.
When you put dressing or butter or whatever over poultry or fish or whatever, use the pastry brush.
Great.
Dust.
Okay. Anybody else? Dusting. Yeah. Right. Anything else?
Comb your cat's hair.
I think my laptop keyboard.
Oh, yes. What a great idea. That's great.
Scratch an itch.
Right. Very good. Okay.
Clean your screens.
Okay.
Your screens.
There you go. So we all just had a creative exercise right out of that head. Okay, so I just want to wrap up by saying what Maya Angelou said, which is you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. So thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today. I really appreciate it. And
and we have some time for Q&A, and we also have some lovely postcard flyers with Deborah's contact information as well, and as well as a sign-up sheet for her email newsletter, which she would appreciate it if you're interested in learning more and staying in touch. But any questions for our speaker here today?
Wonderful, wonderful.
What to do about creativity block?
About what?
Creativity block. People have that.
A creative block?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
And it becomes frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you are trying to write something or you are trying to create something and then your mind is just not working.
Right.
So how to cope with
So
that?
I think some of those exercises that we just heard about from the New York Times and some of the other suggestions about igniting your creativity can really help you to get over that. You know, I look at, like I said, that ideas folder sometimes when I just can't, or if I'm writing something and I just have to dig deeper into my inner voice. Cheryl?
I've got a point, and this sounds really crazy, but that's me.
No, I'm open
When
to
I
it.
have a block, I wash my face.
Wow.
I go, I pull my hair back, I wash my face, and I'm renewed.
Wow.
Well, I'll try
It's
that.
crazy.
I love that.
That's me.
That's good.
That's great.
Wash my face.
Yeah.
I'll try that for sure. Thank you.
And I have a statement, not a question. But one of the inspirations was if you were with friends or whatever, and every Wednesday I go to Southwest Focal Point. I crochet, others knit, others paint, whatever. These women are so inspirational. You know, I learn from them, they learn from me. I get flattered when they learn from me. But they are so creative, so it inspires me to do a little bit more, to 10% more.
Right.
That's
Exactly. Right. Right.
Thank you, this was wonderful.
Yeah.
Lori?
I just have a good comment. So it was really great to hear more about you. I've known you for a while, but didn't really know any of your stories. And just your resilience and your work is so imaginative, like how you get to where your final piece. It's like I almost feel like you're missing out if you don't know the story behind your work. You know, a lot of work I don't want to know the story. I just want to appreciate the work and form my own. But yours, I want to know the story.
Wow.
And you know, I do get all my best ideas in the shower.
Yep. I do it blowing my hair dry usually. Yeah.
But the thoughtfulness too of your work. You know,
Thank you.
It's you know you're kind of taking that creativity, but also there's so much thought involved. You
Yeah.
know, so
Thank you.
it's
Thank you
really
very
impressive.
much for your feedback. I appreciate
The
it.
storytelling component was one of the great takeaways from last month's panel with this phenomenal mirrored realities exhibit that's surrounding us here in the Cotilla Gallery. Everybody has a story, and some of you, artists and creatives, have found this innate gift and ability and honed it to be able to translate it to whatever your medium is, if it's canvas for painting, or if it's storytelling or music or whatever the case may be. And we're glad to just continue having this platform so people in the community that have a story worth sharing is inspiring, because you never know what you're going to gain from these interactions, from these exchanges that could change the course of your life. And I really appreciate that New York Times Creativity Challenge and even the paintbrush challenge. And now, now I'm going to try to get creative in the shower. You know,
Wash your face.
right, and you never know what's going to come from that. Any other questions?
No, it was wonderful.
Galal.
Did you try to paint or draw your concept or ideas? Collage?
I'm not a painter, but I do draw a lot. So I have this sketchbook, this little magical sketchbook, and I find that if I have an idea, I just let my hand flow. And that really does it. It's magic. I don't know why. I could use a piece of copy paper on my desk, but it's not the same. Just taking this book out and letting my hand go works for me. So I do a lot of sketches, and because some of my work is so precise, I do have to then translate it into a very formal sketch so that I understand the size of the pieces, because they have to be juxtaposed and built, and there's glue involved and all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of technical stuff after that initial sketch.
And is that the sculpture background of you wanting to build?
Always. It's
Yeah.
always been there. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess this is a good reminder and invitation that the Mirrored Realities exhibit that's here right now is up until the 15th? Today. Okay. So if you feel, and it's a fundraiser benefiting the Circle of Friends that work to support the Alvin Sherman Library here. So if you feel some connection to Deborah's work, it's on display. You could view and interact with it. Still available for purchase. Obviously, you can further connect with Deborah, follow her on social media and the interwebs. She has some upcoming exhibits in the next year that we would encourage you to support and attend, and that's how we build community, which I also just want to say, which was not said during the intro, that Deborah's been a phenomenal supporter of mine and ours, and a frequent flyer here at CreativeZen along with my parents. And you know, I learned a lot and appreciate your contributions to the creative community, to CreativeZen, to me personally. We had a great podcast episode if you wanted to hear some other things that didn't come up in the talk today. So we're grateful for you, and we're grateful for all of you guys for showing up and supporting and being part of this, and that's how we grow the creative community. And if you want to see the creative community on display, and if you don't have plans tonight,
Yes.
we have the grand opening reception of our latest Zero Empty Spaces location, which is work that I do that came inspired as a result of coming to this talk when I was just a recruiter, not into art at all, and found my love for art and found my voice for becoming an advocacy, and found a path to create platforms to support the artists that I was knowing and loving and befriending, that now me and my business partner take empty commercial spaces and make artist studios for artists. We started on Las Olas in 2019. This is going to be our 33rd space that we've opened since then, and it's at the Design Center of the Americas, the Dakota building. How many of you guys have been inside the Dakota building?
Beautiful.
Right? It used to be it used to only be open to interior designers and their clients. You used to have to pay a fee, pay for parking. The new ownership got rid of that, and then they brought us in because they have a new campaign called Everything by Design, and we're pairing artists with interior designers in the showrooms. So tonight we have our official grand opening reception. We have 24 artists that have studios there, all different backgrounds, walks of life, different work. We're gonna have a lot of people there, but you're invited. It's a free event, 5 to 7, ribbon cutting at 6. We even have an after party with the tequila tasting if you're interested at Toro next door. Toro Dania Beach is a phenomenal Mexican restaurant with La Biblioteca Tequila and Mezcal Library for those that are interested. So plenty more good stuff ahead. That's a free event tonight at Dakota. This is a free event. We continue to do it every second Friday morning of the month, and continue doing these things because it's the right thing to do. So the last thing that we like to wrap up with here at CreativeZen is a selfie with the speaker. So if you guys can maybe just scoot in a little bit if you're to the outside just to get to the center. And if you want to maybe take a seat here. Nice. Hey. Oh, you're in it. You're in it, sister. You're in it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Great job.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, my
I really
pleasure. No,
appreciate
for
it.
sure. I'll take the
yeah.
mic back. And nice Jewish boy from Coral Springs.
I was gonna say, oh, here's your bicycle. Thank you, thank you.
My pleasure,
That was
thank you.
Come here, Papa. That
Thank
was wonderful, wonderful. Once I heard that, I love it.